Stop buying store coffee after 60. I know, that sounds a little dramatic at first, because for many of us, coffee isn't just a drink. It's part of our routine, part of our comfort, part of our life. Maybe it's that first quiet cup in the morning, sitting by the window. Maybe it's the smell that reminds you of earlier years, or the simple habit you've kept for decades. And for a long time, it worked just fine. But then something started to change, slowly, almost too subtle to notice at first. Maybe your stomach doesn't feel quite right after drinking it anymore. Maybe there's a slight burning feeling, or you feel heavier, more bloated than before. Maybe your hands feel just a little more shaky than they used to, or your heart feels like it's beating faster, even when you're just sitting down. And then at night, you find yourself lying awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering why sleep doesn't come as easily as it once did. So you start asking yourself, is it just aging? But what if it's not? What if something as simple as your daily coffee is quietly contributing to all of this? Let me tell you about Robert, a 68-year-old retired engineer from Ohio. Robert had been drinking the same store-bought coffee brand for over 25 years, never thought twice about it. Every morning, 2 cups, same routine, same comfort. But over the last few years, he started noticing something strange. His stomach felt irritated after breakfast. He had this mild but constant acid reflux, and his sleep became lighter, more broken. He would wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and struggle to fall back asleep. At first, he blamed stress. Then he blamed age. Then he thought maybe it was just one of those things. Until one day, his daughter suggested something simple. "Dad, why don't you try changing your coffee?" He laughed at first, because how could coffee, something so normal, be the problem? But he tried anyway. He switched from his usual store brand to a freshly roasted, low-acid coffee from a local roaster. And within just a couple of weeks, something shifted. His stomach felt calmer, the burning sensation reduced, and for the first time in months, he slept through the night without waking up. Now, was it magic? No, it was simply the right choice for his body at this stage of life. And Robert is not alone. I've heard similar stories from Margaret, 72, in Florida, who thought she had to give up coffee entirely because of digestive discomfort, until she changed the type of coffee she drank. Or James, 65, in California, who didn't realize his afternoon cup was quietly affecting his blood pressure, until he made a small adjustment and suddenly felt more stable, more relaxed. These are not rare cases. They're incredibly common, especially after the age of 60. Because here's the truth. Your body changes. Your digestion becomes more sensitive. Your nervous system reacts differently. And what worked perfectly 20 years ago may no longer be the best choice today. And the problem isn't coffee itself. The problem is which coffee you're drinking and how it's been processed, stored, and produced. Because most store-bought coffee, the kind you find in supermarkets, is not designed with your body in mind. It's designed for mass production, long shelf life, and consistency across millions of bags. In that process, changes the coffee in ways most people never think about. It becomes older, more oxidized, often more acidic, and sometimes harsher on digestion, especially for older adults. So when you feel discomfort, your body is not failing you. It's trying to tell you something. In the next part of this video, I'm going to show you exactly what happens to coffee during mass production, why it becomes harder on your body after 60, and the specific signs your body may already be giving you without you realizing it. And later, I'll walk you through a simple way to choose coffee that feels smoother, gentler, and far more enjoyable again, without giving it up. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn could completely change the way you experience coffee, starting tomorrow morning. So what actually happens to coffee before it reaches your cup, especially the kind you buy from a store? Because on the surface, it all looks the same. Ground coffee, familiar brands, convenient packaging. But what happens behind the scenes is very different from what most people imagine. Let's go step by step, in the simplest way possible. First, timing. Fresh coffee begins to change within days after roasting. The natural oils, the aroma, the smooth compounds that make coffee gentle on your stomach. They slowly break down when exposed to air, light, and time. Now imagine this. A large commercial brand roasts coffee in massive batches. Then it's packaged, shipped across states, stored in warehouses, and finally placed on shelves. By the time you open that bag, it may already be weeks or even months old. And that changes everything. Let me give you a real example. Linda, 70 years old, from Arizona, used to complain that coffee started tasting sharp, almost sour, even though she was buying the same brand she trusted for years. What she didn't realize was that the coffee wasn't the same anymore, not because the brand changed, but because what she was drinking was no longer fresh. As coffee ages, it oxidizes, just like fruit left out in the open. And that oxidation increases compounds that can irritate your stomach lining, especially if your digestive system is already more sensitive after 60. That's why many seniors start experiencing acid reflux, discomfort, or that heavy feeling after drinking coffee, even if they never had that problem before. Second, roasting style. Most store brands use darker roasts, not necessarily because they are better, but because darker roasting helps create a more uniform taste across large batches. It hides inconsistencies. But darker roasting also breaks down more of the natural protective compounds in coffee and can create a more bitter, harsher profile. That bitterness isn't just about taste. It can also be harder on your digestive system. I remember talking to George, 66, from Texas, who said, "I thought I needed stronger coffee to feel awake." So he kept choosing darker and stronger blends. But over time, he noticed his stomach felt worse, and his energy didn't actually improve. Because what he needed wasn't stronger coffee, it was cleaner coffee. And once he switched to a smoother, lighter roast, he felt more balanced, without that heavy crash. Third, additives and blending. Not all store coffee is 100% pure, especially in lower-cost brands. Some may include lower-grade beans, mixed together to maintain price and consistency. And while that's not always harmful, it can create a less stable, less predictable effect on your body. Have you ever noticed some days coffee feels fine, and other days it just doesn't sit right? That inconsistency often comes from the blend, not from you. Fourth, acidity. Coffee naturally contains acids, and in the right balance, they give coffee its bright, pleasant flavor. But when coffee is over-processed, over-roasted, or aged too long, those acids can become more aggressive. And after 60, your stomach lining becomes more sensitive to that kind of irritation. Margaret, the same woman I mentioned earlier, thought she had to give up coffee completely because of acid reflux. But the real issue wasn't coffee itself. It was the type of coffee she was drinking. When she switched to a low-acid, freshly roasted option, she was able to enjoy coffee again without discomfort. That's the difference the right choice can make. So when you put all of this together, aging, oxidation, darker roasting, inconsistent blends, and higher acidity, you start to see the full picture. It's not just coffee. It's a product that has been changed long before it ever reaches your cup. And if your body has been reacting differently lately, it may not be random at all. It may be a response to something that no longer suits you the way it once did. Now here's where things get interesting, because not all coffee goes through this process. In the next part, I'm going to show you how local roasted coffee is handled differently, why it often feels smoother and easier on the body, and what specific qualities you should look for if you want to keep enjoying coffee without the side effects. Stay with me, because this is where most people finally start to notice a real difference. Now let's talk about something many people don't fully understand, but once they experience it, they never go back. Local roasted coffee. Not as a trend, not as something fancy, but as a completely different way coffee is handled from the very beginning. Because the difference isn't just taste, it's how your body reacts to it. Let's start with the most important factor, freshness. Real freshness, not what's printed on a package, but what actually happens to the beans before you drink them. Most local roasters work in small batches, which means they roast coffee in limited quantities, often just days before it reaches you. That means the natural oils are still intact, the aroma is still alive, and the chemical structure of the coffee is far more stable. And that stability is what makes it feel smoother in your body. Let me tell you about Helen, 71, from Oregon. Helen loved coffee her entire life, but around her late 60s, she started noticing discomfort. Not pain exactly, but a constant uneasy feeling after her morning cup. She described it as something just doesn't feel right anymore. So she gradually reduced her coffee, thinking she might have to give it up completely. Until one day, her neighbor gave her a small bag of freshly roasted coffee from a local shop. She didn't expect much, just another cup of coffee. But that morning felt different. The taste was softer, less sharp, almost smoother on the tongue. And more importantly, her stomach felt calm. No discomfort, no heaviness, no regret after finishing the cup. And that's when she realized it wasn't coffee she needed to give up. It was the wrong type of coffee. That's the turning point many seniors experience. Because fresh coffee behaves differently inside your body. When coffee is freshly roasted and properly handled, it contains fewer degraded compounds and often a more balanced level of natural acids. That balance matters, especially as your digestive system becomes more sensitive with age. But freshness is only one part of the story. The second factor is how the beans are selected. Many local roasters focus on higher quality beans, often single origin, meaning they come from one specific region rather than being mixed together from multiple sources. Why does that matter? Because consistency improves, and your body reacts more predictably. James, 65 from California, used to say, "Some days coffee feels fine, other days it just hits me wrong." He thought it was random. But after switching to a consistent, single-origin coffee from a local roaster, that unpredictability disappeared. Same routine, same amount, but a completely different experience. Third, roasting control. Local roasters often pay closer attention to roasting profiles, adjusting time and temperature carefully to preserve the natural characteristics of the beans. That usually results in lighter or medium roasts, which tend to be smoother and less aggressive. Compare that to many store brands, where darker roasting is used to standardize taste, even if it sacrifices smoothness. And for seniors, that difference can be very noticeable. Have you ever taken a sip of coffee and felt like it was too strong? Not in caffeine, but in how it hits your stomach. That's often the roasting, not the coffee itself. And when you switch to something more balanced, your body recognizes the difference almost immediately. But here's something important, and this is where many people make a mistake. Not all local coffee is automatically better. Some local shops still over-roast, some don't manage quality well, and some focus more on flavor trends than on how the coffee affects your body. So the goal is not just to switch blindly, it's to understand what to look for. Because in the next part, I'm going to show you the exact mistakes many seniors make, even after switching away from store coffee. Mistakes that can still lead to discomfort, poor sleep, or unstable energy without realizing it. Stay with me, because once you see these, you'll never choose coffee the same way again. So now that you understand the difference between store coffee and fresher options, you might be thinking, all right, I'll just switch, problem solved. But here's the truth. Many seniors make a few simple mistakes that quietly undo all the benefits without even realizing it. And chances are, at least one of these might sound very familiar to you. Let's go through them, one by one. Mistake number 1. Drinking coffee the same way you did 20 or 30 years ago. Your body has changed, your metabolism is slower, your sensitivity to caffeine and acidity is higher, but your habits often stay the same. Take Walter, 73, from Michigan, who still drank 2 large cups first thing in the morning, just like he did during his working years. But now, instead of feeling energized, he felt jittery, slightly anxious, and his stomach felt unsettled. The coffee didn't change, his body did. And once he reduced his portion and spaced his intake more carefully, those symptoms eased significantly. Sometimes it's not about what you drink, but how you drink it. Mistake number 2. Choosing coffee based only on strength, not smoothness. Many people believe stronger coffee equals better energy, but stronger often means harsher, more bitter, and more irritating. George, the man we mentioned earlier, thought he needed dark, bold coffee to wake up. But in reality, that harshness was putting stress on his digestion without giving him better energy. When he switched to a smoother, balanced coffee, his energy felt more stable, without the crash. Mistake number 3. Ignoring acidity. This is one of the biggest hidden factors. After 60, your stomach lining becomes more sensitive, and high-acid coffee can trigger discomfort, reflux, or that burning sensation many people describe. Margaret, who almost gave up coffee entirely, wasn't reacting to caffeine. She was reacting to acidity. And once she switched to a low-acid option, everything changed. That's why low acid isn't just a marketing term. It's something your body can actually feel. Mistake number 4. Drinking coffee too late in the day. Even if you've been doing it your whole life, your body processes caffeine differently now. It stays in your system longer, affecting your nervous system even hours after your last sip. James, 65, didn't connect his afternoon coffee with his restless sleep until he simply moved his last cup earlier in the day. And within days, his sleep became deeper, more consistent. Small timing changes can create big results. And finally, mistake number 5. Assuming all better coffee is automatically safe. Just because something is labeled premium, organic, or even freshly roasted doesn't mean it's right for your body. Everyone reacts differently, especially at this stage of life. The key is paying attention to how you feel, not just what the label says. Do you feel calm after drinking it, or slightly uneasy? Does your stomach feel settled or irritated? Do you sleep well, or find yourself waking up at night? Your body gives you signals every single day, and once you start listening, choosing the right coffee becomes much easier. Now, here's the important part, because avoiding these mistakes is only half the solution. The other half is knowing exactly what to choose instead. In the next part, I'm going to walk you through a simple step-by-step guide to finding coffee that feels smoother, safer, and actually enjoyable again, without the discomfort, without the confusion, and without wasting money on the wrong products. Stay with me, because this is where everything finally becomes clear. Now that you understand what to avoid, let's make this simple, practical, and easy to apply. Because choosing the right coffee after 60 doesn't have to be complicated. You just need to focus on a few key things that your body will immediately recognize. Step 1. Start with the roast level. In general, lighter or medium roasts tend to be smoother, less aggressive, and easier on your stomach compared to very dark roasts. Not because they are weaker, but because they preserve more of the natural balance in the coffee. Think of it like cooking. When something is overcooked, it becomes harsher, more bitter, and harder to digest. Coffee works in a similar way. So if you've been drinking very dark, bold coffee for years, try stepping down slightly and notice how your body responds. You don't have to change everything overnight. Just adjust gradually. Step 2. Look for freshness, not just brand names. If possible, choose coffee that shows a roast date, not just an expiration date. Because freshness affects how your body processes it, not just how it tastes. A bag that was roasted a few days ago behaves very differently from one that has been sitting for months. And many people can feel that difference within the first cup. Step 3. Consider low-acid options. This is especially important if you've experienced any discomfort, reflux, or that burning feeling after drinking coffee. Low-acid coffee is designed to reduce irritation, making it gentler on your stomach while still giving you the experience you enjoy. It doesn't mean giving up flavor. It means choosing a better balance. Step 4. Pay attention to origin and consistency. Single origin coffees, or carefully selected blends, often provide a more stable experience compared to mixed, mass-produced options. And that stability matters because your body prefers consistency. When you drink something that changes day to day, your body reacts differently, and that can feel uncomfortable or unpredictable. Step 5. Adjust your timing. Even the best coffee can still affect your sleep if you drink it too late in the day. A simple rule many people find helpful is to enjoy coffee in the morning or early afternoon and give your body enough time to process it before evening. This alone can make a noticeable difference in sleep quality. And finally, step 6. Listen to your body. This might sound simple, but it's the most important step of all. Your body tells you everything you need to know, if you pay attention. Do you feel calm or tense? Comfortable or irritated? Rested at night or restless? Those signals matter more than any label, any brand, or any recommendation. Because at this stage of life, the goal isn't just to drink coffee. It's to enjoy it without discomfort, without side effects, and without compromise. Now, you might be wondering, what happens when you actually put all of this together? What does it feel like to drink coffee that truly works with your body instead of against it? In the final part of this video, I'll share a few simple, real-life routines from seniors who made this shift and how it changed their daily experience in ways they didn't expect. Stay with me, because this is where everything comes together. So what does it actually look like when everything we've talked about comes together in real life? Not theory, not advice, but simple daily routines from people just like you. Let me share a few examples. Robert, the retired engineer we talked about earlier, didn't completely change his habits overnight. He still wakes up at the same time, still enjoys his quiet morning by the window, still takes that first sip slowly. But now, he uses a smaller cup, a smoother, freshly roasted coffee, and he takes his time with it. And instead of feeling heavy afterward, he feels steady, calm, and comfortable. His mornings didn't disappear, they simply became easier on his body. Margaret, 72, who once thought she had to give up coffee entirely, now drinks 1 cup every morning, a low-acid blend, lighter roast, nothing complicated. But the difference is, she enjoys it without fear. No discomfort, no second thoughts. Just a simple moment she looks forward to again. And then there's James, 65, who made just one small change. He moved his last cup earlier in the day. Same coffee, same routine, but his nights became quieter, deeper, more restful. And sometimes, that's all it takes. These aren't dramatic changes. No complicated systems, no strict rules. Just small adjustments based on how their bodies actually feel. And that's really the message of this video. You don't have to give up coffee after 60. You just have to choose it differently. Because your body is different now. And that's not a problem. It's something to respect. When you choose coffee that works with your body instead of against it, everything becomes simpler, smoother, and more enjoyable again. Now I'd love to hear from you. Have you noticed any changes in how coffee affects you over the years? Or have you tried switching to a different type and felt a difference? Share your experience in the comments. I read every single one, and your story might help someone else more than you realize. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Tips for Seniors for more simple, practical ways to stay healthy, feel better, and enjoy everyday life after 60. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.